It started as just another high-energy Tonight Show episode, exactly as planned and rehearsed. Studio 6B was buzzing with that familiar electric energy, entirely focused on the powerhouse guest. Tonight, Billie Eilish was the star, promoting her latest groundbreaking album and sharing lighthearted anecdotes with Jimmy Fallon. The iconic New York City skyline provided the bright backdrop for a conversation expected to be filled with Billie's signature dry wit and the crowd's ecstatic energy. The audience was a sea of fans, dressed in her merchandise, electric with the unique joy that comes from being in the same room as your musical idol. Jimmy had been anticipating this segment for weeks. Billie always brought a fresh, unfiltered element to the show. Whether it was an incredible live performance, a candid moment about her writing process, or those rare flashes of vulnerability that reminded everyone of her genuine artistry. What nobody noticed during the initial applause was the teenage boy in the third row, seat 14. Ethan Hollis, perhaps 16 years old, sat perfectly still, his eyes fixed on the stage. He was gently holding something small and significant, a black USB drive taped carefully with worn, faded handwriting. To everyone else, it looked like a standard piece of fan memorabilia or a unique piece of merchandise. But for Ethan, it was the most precious, painful piece of memory he owned. The tape on the USB drive read simply, "Ocean Eyes, Unreleased." The drive had once belonged to his late sister Maya, who had shared a brief, meaningful moment in time and music with Billie years ago. Maya had always protected the drive, treating the rough demo as proof of a pure, early dream they shared. Billie had been joking with Jimmy about a recent tour mishap, never imagining the lost sound of her past was sitting just yards away. The show flowed flawlessly. Jimmy's energy was high and engaging, prompting enthusiastic laughter from the entire audience. But halfway through an answer about writing her new material, Billie froze completely. Her eyes locked onto the object in Ethan's hand, her expression turning immediately from professional amusement to absolute stillness. The sudden break in her composure fractured the smooth flow of the show. Jimmy, ever attuned to his guests, instantly noticed the change. His smile softened with concern. "Billie, are you okay? You just went totally silent." Her voice cracked slightly, the sound raw and unexpected. That looks exactly like the first demo I ever made. It was a pink USB, but the handwriting on the tape, it's the same. The entire audience turned to look at the boy, and the infectious laughter died completely. The boy, Ethan, stood up slowly, visibly nervous, but driven by a deeper purpose. He introduced himself quietly, his voice trembling slightly. He confirmed the USB belonged to his late sister, Maya. He explained that years before, Maya had attended the same small community music class as Billie in Los Angeles. Maya had kept a backup copy of Billie's early demo, the one they recorded together before fame, before the pressure of record deals. Billie's eyes, fixed on the USB, filled immediately with profound, sudden tears. She remembered Maya clearly, the shy girl with the soft, encouraging voice who never quite got the chance to finish her own music due to her illness. "She always said," Ethan whispered to the stunned studio, "that specific song was her favorite because you two wrote it when you were both just truly dreaming." Jimmy broke the intense silence softly, his voice barely audible. "Ethan, do you still have the song on that drive?" Ethan nodded and held up the USB drive, the small black object suddenly feeling heavy with immense gravity. The studio went into quiet, immediate motion. The crew quickly moved to connect the small drive to the main studio sound system. The lights dimmed completely, focusing only on the stage and the boy holding the past. For the first time in nearly a decade, the original, raw, unreleased version of Ocean Eyes began to play. The track was slightly off-key, filled with the ambient background noise of a cheap studio and punctuated by clear giggles and human laughter between the verses. Billie closed her eyes instantly, tears finally streaming down her face, whispering the familiar lyrics under her breath. The raw, imperfect, truthful version of her breakthrough song echoed through the profound silence of Studio 6B. When the track ended, the silence that followed was immense, heavy with emotion. Billie opened her eyes, turning to Ethan, her voice broken but firm. "She finished her song tonight, Ethan. She finished it right here." Jimmy, visibly holding back tears, spoke quietly, his hand over his heart. Sometimes music doesn't end. It just waits for the right moment and the right listener to be heard again. If this story moves you, please subscribe to our channel. We share these powerful moments because they matter, because they remind us that culture and family transcend distance, and because stories like Maya's deserve to be heard. Your subscription helps us continue bringing real stories about real courage. The music director, sensing the need for a final, sacred punctuation, began a slow, deliberate rhythm. Billie then stood, signaling her intention. She sang one verse and the chorus live, blending her mature, global star voice with the faint, ethereal echo of the old demo track. It was a haunting, impossible duet between the past and the present, between the lost friend and the fulfilled dream. The audience did not cheer, did not clap. They simply stood quietly in reverent silence. They were witnessing something truly sacred, the moment when a dream lost too soon found its way home and completed its final performance. Billie walked slowly down the steps and met Ethan in the aisle. She didn't hug him immediately, but instead knelt down, looking him directly in the eyes. "She trusted you," Billie whispered, her voice still shaky. "She knew you would get the song to me when I finally needed it." "Thank you for keeping our songs safe for all these years, Ethan." Ethan could only nod, tears of relief now streaming down his face. Jimmy, finally moving, walked to the edge of the stage, leaving his desk behind. He placed a warm hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You honored your sister, son. That was beautiful." Billie stood and addressed the entire studio, her voice gaining strength and clarity. "This wasn't just a song," she declared. "This was a promise kept. Maya's belief in the dream never died. She taught me that day, a decade ago, that the feeling behind the music is always more important than the quality of the recording." The camera zoomed in slowly on the black USB drive, now sitting on the host's desk, glowing faintly under the light. Billie returned to the stage and sat down, pulling Ethan and his mother gently onto the couch beside her. The original interview had completely vanished, replaced by a segment of profound, shared humanity. Jimmy sat down beside them, looking at the USB drive intently. "What else do you remember about that day?" Jimmy asked softly, steering the conversation toward memory. Billie smiled through her tears. "I remember the laughter. We messed up the lyrics countless times. Maya kept telling me not to worry, that the best songs are messy, like life. She was worried about my voice cracking, but she said it made the sound real." Ethan nodded, clutching the small drive. "She carried that drive everywhere, Mr. Fallon. She said it was proof that big dreams start small and often off-key." Billie reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metallic guitar pick, one she always used for writing. "Ethan," she said, holding it out, "I want you to have this. This is how I start every new song now. It's a promise that every new track I write, Maya will be there, listening, and reminding me to keep it real." Ethan took the pick, his hand closing around the unexpected gift. The studio applause finally broke, but it was a quiet, deep, reverent sound, not a celebration of fame. It was recognition of the sacred truth that had unfolded. Jimmy leaned toward the microphone, his final words of the segment carefully chosen. "Billie, Ethan, thank you. You reminded us tonight that the music we leave behind is the strongest part of our legacy, and that sometimes the most important music is the unreleased track that finally finds its way home." The cameras lingered on the black USB drive and the metallic guitar pick sitting side by side on the desk. Billie put her arm around Ethan, her final act of comfort and solidarity. The lights faded to black, leaving the image of the two objects shining briefly in the dark. The episode instantly became a viral phenomenon, shared millions of times for its authenticity. Billie Eilish later revealed that she re-recorded the original demo section and dedicated a hidden track on her new album to Maya. She called the dedication "The Echo in the Demo." The experience profoundly changed her relationship with her older music. She began to see her early struggles not as flaws, but as essential parts of her sound. Ethan became an advocate for music therapy. Inspired by his sister's reliance on creativity, he realized that the greatest power of music is not fame, but its capacity to provide comfort in isolation. Jimmy Fallon always kept a framed photo of the USB drive on his backstage wall. He said it was a reminder that true magic is always unscripted and often involves an unexpected guest. The story taught millions of viewers that the dreams you share are the ones that never truly die. Maya's song found its ending, not in a professional studio, but in a moment of public shared vulnerability. And Billie Eilish, already a global icon, cemented her legacy as an artist who deeply cares about the why of music. The sound of laughter between the verses became the most meaningful part of Ocean Eyes for an entire new generation of listeners. Ethan kept the guitar pick, carrying it as a symbol of his sister's enduring presence in the world of music. He said it was proof that Maya's dream of inspiring a singer had finally come true. The unreleased track, once lost in a digital file, now resonated globally as an eternal echo of a friendship. The show ended, but the silence and the soft piano note lingered long after the cameras stopped rolling. It was a profound lesson in how the most important collaborations are sometimes the most accidental ones, and that a simple black USB drive could carry the weight of an entire unfulfilled destiny. The camera zoomed in again on the lingering guitar pick, a final symbol of the promise. Jimmy stood slowly, looking out at the audience, his expression serious, allowing the weight of the moment to settle completely. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice thick with emotion, resonating with unexpected depth. "Tonight, we witnessed the purest form of artistic love." We saw that sometimes, the greatest pop stars are just people who are good listeners, attuned to frequencies beyond the music charts. And that the music that matters the most is not the platinum single, but the music that profoundly heals. Billie, still seated, took a centering breath. Luna's song found its way to everyone who needed to hear it, exactly when it was meant to, she whispered, her voice finding strength in the shared vulnerability. "That is the purest definition of a successful song and a successful life." The applause finally broke, a soft, respectful sound, not thunderous, but deep and resonant, with shared tears. It was the sound of recognition for a sacred truth revealed, a tribute to the quiet moment. Billie took Ethan's hand, gripping it firmly, and together they stood and walked slowly off the stage. The black USB drive's final message was delivered, heard, and completed. And in the silence that followed, the studio finally rested, the energy purified by the truth. The story of Luna's song became an internal legend at The Tonight Show, a benchmark for genuine human connection. The crew members often spoke of the moment the piano chord dropped beneath Selena's voice, perfectly timed. They said it was the most perfect timing they had ever witnessed, proving that art can truly be guided by an invisible force of love. Billie often tells the story of Luna to her band and to emerging songwriters. She uses it to illustrate that emotional honesty and vulnerability are the highest forms of musical achievement and purpose. Ethan, profoundly inspired by the event, dedicated his career to sound design, focusing on amplifying the quietest voices. He carried the guitar pick constantly, wearing it as a physical reminder that every voice, no matter how fragile, deserves a powerful echo. The show ended, leaving behind the powerful realization that some stories simply refuse to remain untold. The unreleased demo, once discarded, became the most valuable piece of music in Billie's catalog.